People are still arriving in droves, and we've got problems actually getting them all here. So if the bus driver of the Metro bus there could meet Mike at the bus, he's got an idea to put to you. Just one announcement, and that is this book, which was launched this time last week, Endangered, Tasmania's Wild Places. Available today for $70, signed by Senator Bob Brown and by Rob Blake as one of the principal photographers and architects of the book. It's magnificent, and many of the places that it depicts are directly threatened by the pulp mill. Directly threatened by it, whether it's the ocean, and some of John Bryan's magnificent photos of the species that he was talking about, or whether it's the forests. And that's something that I want to talk about now, which is the impact of Gunns' pulp mill on the forest. If you listen to Gunns and the government and their latest mouthpieces, Malcolm Turnbull and Peter Garrett, you could be forgiven for thinking that everything that this pulp mill is going to consume is a plantation grown by Gunns. We know that that is absolute rubbish, and more to the point, Gunns' own impact statement said that when the pulp mill starts up, it will be 80% reliant on native forests. 80%. At full capacity, it will be operating at 4 million tonnes per annum. This means huge quantities of native forests will be fed into that pulp mill. Don't let's forget that as well as a pulp mill, there is a power generator burning wood from our native forests. 500,000 tonnes per annum of wood to be burnt to generate power from that pulp mill. Massive amounts of native forest. 200,000 hectares is what the Wilderness Society has calculated using Gunns' own figures. 200,000 hectares, that's 2,000 square kilometres of native forest which would be destroyed by this mill. Imagine a square 45 kilometres on one side, or imagine a 10 kilometre wide strip of forest stretching from Hobart to Launceston, and that is the amount of forest that will be destroyed by this pulp mill over 25 years, according just to Gunns' own figures. But that's all assuming that Gunns' projected phase-in of plantations actually occurs. What if, due to global warming, climate change, there's a reduction in rainfall, which is actually forecast by the Tasmanian government, that rainfall in northeastern Tasmania will reduce by 8% over the next few decades? And what if there are more bushfires in the plantations? What if those plantations simply don't grow as quickly as Gunns says? What is going to meet the shortfall? Are they going to close the mill down or reduce it, or are they going to substitute native forests for those plantations? What do we think they'll do? They claim that it won't consume old growth forests. Well, they can make that promise now, and that's all it is, a promise. And we've seen every other promise associated with this pulp mill systematically broken, discarded, watered down. It's been a saga of shifting goalposts, and it will be the same with old growth forests. Make no mistake about that. We were briefed on the pulp mill by Gunns in August 2006, and we asked, is there an upper age limit on the trees which can be pulped by this mill? And they said no. The mill can pulp eucalypt trees of virtually any age. In other words, there is no technological impediment to it using old growth. And we all know what a statistical swamp Forestry Tasmania and the logging industry have made of the definition of old growth. The fact is that regrowth, as defined by Forestry Tasmania and by the government, often contains old trees, hundreds of years old, and often consists of forests that have never been logged before. Those are forests that will get fed down the pulp mill or get burnt in the power generator. There is no question that if that pulp mill goes ahead, it will be consuming old growth forests. And don't let's forget, the Premier talks about ending the lunacy of export wood chipping, ending the lunacy of sending our wood chips offshore for processing. But Gunns is going to keep 2 of its huge wood chip mills open. Triabunna and Hampshire will continue to operate, so we'll get the worst of all worlds. We will have a pulp mill consuming our native forests. We will have the plantations at Hampshire being exported as wood chips. We will have the native forests of Tasmania's southwest wilderness being exported as wood chips. We will see total devastation. We will see a doubling of the rate of logging in Tasmania once again. That is backed up by Gunns' own figures that show that 3.4 million tonnes of wood chips were exported last year by Gunns. That will go up, according to their impact statement, to 6.8 million tonnes of wood chips being produced for export or for the pulp mill. A doubling of logging in Tasmania. Can Tasmania's forests cope with that? No! Total devastation is what is promised by this pulp mill. And now we've got Malcolm Turnbull and Peter Garrett adding their signatures to those death warrants for the Tasmanian forests that previously they expressed concern for.